Start off by taking the screws out of the existing doorknob. So let's take these out of here. Got the first top screw out. Now I gotta get the bottom screw out. Okay, now I got the bottom screw out. Take the doorknob off. Just pull the doorknob out from the other side. And I'm going to take the screws off of this faceplate here. Unscrew these screws. There's one. Here's the second screw. Take the faceplate out of there. Just need to collapse the inside before we take it out, and then pull it out. Now we're ready to install the new doorknob. Here's the new Kwikset doorknob that I'll be installing. So there's our doorknob and our screws. So here's our latch A and B, our screws C, our screws D, our strike plate E, and our knob H. This door has the door chiseled, so we're not going to use the piece B. First, we need to insert the latch into the door, and our holes have to be in the center of the door hole. So right here, if we're not in the center, we can move this bar up and move our latch out if we need to make an adjustment. Make sure our holes are centered. When we insert the latch into the door hole, insert the lock here. Then you need to check and make sure that the holes are centered, which this looks centered, so we're good. Now I gotta attach the doorknob. Our latch bolt is pointing towards the door. Now let's unscrew our screw C to secure it. Okay, the top piece is secure. That bottom one in there. Next up, I'm gonna insert the knob, push in on the latch here, and then insert that through the door. That goes through the holes just like so. There's the knob on the other side. Next I'm going to put on the interior knob, line up the back, the round edge with the round piece here, and just slide that on there. And turn these so they're horizontal. Now we can insert our screws. Now I'm just going to insert the screw D here. Need to fish around for where the screws go in there and get them both started off just a little bit, so you know they're going into where they're supposed to be going into. After a lot of alignment and removing the cover and adding it back on, I'm able to get the screws in here. Try to tighten them up evenly. Alright. It's looking good. Lock it. It's locked. Then we screw on the strike plate. Put the top screw in. Let's take off our next doorknob. Just take out the screws. Take out the other screw. Okay, screws are out, knob is off. Press the button in, pull the knob out. Then I'm going to unscrew the plate here. Get the other screw. And take the latch out. Okay. I'm going to install the next latch here. Get the top screw in there. Get the bottom screw in there. Alright, next up we're going to push in the button and then insert the knob. Slide that in there. And slide the round in on the other end of the knob. And screw it in there. To find the hole, I push the knob in and then I push the screw in by hand and wiggle it around until I find the hole and start it with my hand. Then use the screwdriver after. Once they're lined up, we want to screw these both in evenly. Everything's looking tight. Close the door. Open the door. Close the door. Lock it. And we're locked and we're good. Now let's replace the existing strike plate. I had a hard time getting these out. Easy enough. Let's take the top one out. Good to go. Let's put the new strike plate on. Get started with our existing holes. And get the bottom screw in there. Let's take off the next doorknob. One bolt out. Let's get the other bolt out. Now we have it unscrewed. Let's push in the latch. Take the handle off. Take the other handle off. Unscrew this plate here. Get the bottom screw out. Should be able to pull this right out. Open up this other Kwikset kit. Our screws, our doorknobs, our strike plate, our latch, circular piece, and our keys. This is piece J, this is piece H, this is our latch A, this is our piece B, our strike plate E, our screws D, and our screws C. Let's install it. First up, we're going to put our latch in. Making sure this side of the bolt is pointing towards the door. Make sure our holes are centered in the door hole, which they are. So now I can just screw the plate on. Screw in the top hole. Then the bottom hole. That looks good. Next up, I'm going to insert the knob. Press the latch bolt in. Line up the rounded sides. And slide it through. That'll hook on there because the latch is out. Back plate's a little off, so I need to turn it to line up the holes. Push that back in there. Once we have our holes lined up, put that on the rounded part. Slides right on. Now I gotta put the bolts in. Of course, I'm gonna pull that out so I can look for the holes to line up. So you look from above, start them off with your fingers. Make sure everything's lined up nicely so they go in easy when you use the screwdriver. That one looks good. Tighten that one up a little bit with the screwdriver. It's giving me some resistance, so it must be off a little bit. Right there looks good. Now it's going on nice and easy. I'll put in the other one. So same thing, fish that through. And try to line up the hole with the bolt once you get it lined up, and you can start it off. Get it as straight as possible, and then we're just going to tighten them up evenly with the screwdriver. If they're not going in straight, you got to take them out and straighten them out, because you shouldn't have a lot of resistance putting these in. Try to get a better overhead shot here. And you see you gotta line up those bolts with the holes there. Get them straight as possible. So this piece was turned way off, so that was messing up the bolts from going in straight. So I gotta line up these holes to the holes on here. Make sure that everything goes in straight. That looks pretty good right there. Alright, I'm gonna try to put those screws back in. Those are going in much easier now. You see I got the screwdriver angled. The bolt should be super easy to turn. Just going to keep it on the angle so it stays straight. See how easy that goes in there? That's how it should be. I'm going to try to keep both sides even. So I'll do the other side a little more. Also on an angle. Go back and do the other side a little more. Then this side a little more. Should be getting tight now, looking nice and snug on that side. Tighten up the other side. Nice and snug on the other side. There's our knob attached to the door. The strike plate actually looks pretty new. That's already on there, so I'm just going to leave that as is. I locked the door and it's staying in place, so that looks good. I'm going to unlock the door and the door opens, so that is also good. We're all set. The next door we're working on has a deadbolt. So we have a Kwikset kit, which has the knobs K and L, and the deadbolt B and C. The deadbolt itself, part A, which goes with the top strike, part F. Our bolts Q, and our screws S, and our screws P. Then we have the regular bottom latch, part A, with the bottom strike M, and the bolts R, screws P, and screws T. First up, we're going to unlock the door. Say hello to the gecko. Then we're just going to take the bolts out. Take the next bolt out. And take our knob off. Push the latch in. Take the other knob off. Undo the screws for the latch. Undo the bottom screw. Push the latch out. Now move on to the deadbolt. So I'll put that in the lock position so I can reach the screws. Take those out. Take the other one out. The other side just slides off. Now I'm going to take the deadbolt out. Okay, top screws out. Bottom screws out. Let's pull the deadbolt out. Now we're ready to install our new latches and our new deadbolts. Okay, first up I'm going to release the deadbolt, put in the screwdriver and turn in it clockwise. Then you can make any adjustments that you need to make by turning the deadbolt to lengthen it, just like so. Next up, insert the deadbolt. Make sure it's centered. Attach it with screws P. Put in the bottom screw P. And put in the bottom latch. With this end facing the door, and screw it in with screws P. Put in the bottom screw. That looks good. Let's move on to the next step. I'm gonna slide through part B. Line this up with the hole. So part B is inserted. The other side, we need to put on part C. Line that up with this piece here again. I'm going to spin this around. And we need to find the holes. Okay. So we got the screws in there after fished them around a bit. Just going to tighten them up and secure the deadlock. Okay, that looks good. Let's test it out. Oh, something's wrong. Okay, we were a little uneven, but now we're looking good. I'm going to take knob K, put it on the outside of the door, push in the latch, turn it to line up the circles, push it through, line up the holes, they're pushed through. That's stayed in place. Going to take knob L, line that up with the circular side. So it looks like this copper piece needs to be turned. I'll line that up just right with the holes or we'll have issues screwing this in. Okay, those holes are lined up, so that looks good to me. Keep that on there. Turn it. Adjust the lock. There we go. Turn these. Let's get our screws and attach it. Just gonna tighten up these screws. And we're good. Gonna remove this old strike plate. Take the other screw out. Take that off. I'm gonna put the plate for the deadbolt on. Piece F. The bolt's S. That looks like it was screwed wrong. Just gonna screw that in there. Top screws in, that looks good. You can also use a power drill to make it go quicker. I had to remove the deadbolt strike plate because someone drilled the hole wrong, so I'll need to fix that. So I will attach the bottom strike plate M, for the regular door latch, using our screws T. Top one started. Get the bottom screw in there. Bottom screw in there, started. I keep going with the bottom screw. And then put back in the top screw. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's try it out. Okay, our door is shutting. And locking, so we're good. Just drilling new holes for the top deadlock strike plate. The bottom chisel is also off. It needs to be chiseled more. Just normal issues you'll find when trying to replace doorknobs and deadbolts. Next up, I'm going to take off the front door doorknob and deadbolt. So I'm going to take the screws out of this front door doorknob. As you can see, whoever originally installed the doorknob and deadbolt put them way too close to each other. So I'm not able to put a fancier door handle on this door without a lot of work. So I'm just going to replace it with the same type of doorknob and deadbolt. This is why it's important to use the template that's included with the doorknobs when drilling your holes into the door. Alright, now I got the screw out. The doorknob will slide right off. Just push the latch in here to take off the other doorknob. Now I'm just got to take out the existing screws to get the latch out. Take the bottom screw out of the latch. Once this screw is out, I can just pop the latch out. Use the screwdriver for a little help. And now it's out. Now that I got the bottom knobs out, I need to unscrew the deadbolt. So I'm going to take both screws out of here.
You're going to want to turn the latch to the center so you can easily get to both bolts and then unscrew them. Alright, we got both screws out, so I'm going to take off the back of this deadbolt. Slides right off. Same thing with the front, they'll slide right out. And there's our front. Next I'll take the screws out of the deadbolt faceplate. Top screws out, so now I'll take out the bottom screw. I'm going to take that bottom screw out and then wiggle the latch and pull it out of the door. Now that the old doorknob and deadbolt are out of the door, the new ones can be inserted.
I got the Kwikset combo kit for the front door with a knob and a deadbolt. I got the knob off the door, so I'm going to open this up and put this on. Here's the set of knobs and parts that came in the box. I'm going to start off by taking the pre-assembled knobs apart. You're not supposed to take the screws out of this one. You're just supposed to look from the other side and then twist. Grab this back piece of it, twist it counterclockwise, and pull it out. Okay, now we have our doorknob disassembled. Next up, we're going to attach our first latch A with the screws C. Alright, so I'm going to insert latch A. Make sure it's centered in the hole. The latch is pointing towards the door. And just screw C's in. Top one's in. Screw in the bottom screw. Bottom screws in. Let's attach the doorknob. Gonna push the latch bolt in. Then insert the doorknob. That'll hold in place. Now we got our doorknob in there. I'll put the indoor doorknob in there. Line up the circular side. And then twist this back piece counterclockwise. Twist this back piece counterclockwise to get it back on the bolts. So now we're secured on both sides. And all we have to do is we make sure we hold this in place, make sure that our bolts stay horizontal when we tighten them up. So I'm just going to tighten these bolts up here. I'm going to do a little bit on each side. It's kind of an angled turn, nice and tight. Doorknob's working, doorknob's turning and locking. Yeah. Let's shut the door. So we turn it. It's good. Opens. We lock it. It's good. It's locked in place. Next up, we're going to attach the strike plate and then the screws D. Start those off. Alright, now we have our strike plate on. Let's try the door. Door opens and shuts nicely. Let's lock it. Just like the door handles were not drilled properly, the hole for the strike plate was also not drilled properly, so I'm going to have to make an adjustment and move it over and drill new holes so that we make sure our door latch actually fits inside and actually locks the door. Next up, we're going to put our screwdriver into the deadbolt, turn it clockwise to push the deadbolt out, and then we're going to insert it into the door. If we need to make an adjustment, we can turn it to make it longer or shorter to make sure we're in the center of the door. We also want to make sure that the upside is up when we insert it into the door. Then we will secure it with our screws E. Okay, we have our deadbolt pointing up. And we're going to insert it into the door. Our deadbolt is centered, so we can screw it in. I'm going to take my screw E, put it into the top hole, and then put my other screw E into the bottom hole. Next up, we need to measure our existing hole. If it's 2 1/8 inch diameter, then we need to attach part K, which this hole is. So we need to put our pieces L on the back of K, and K, the outside deadbolt. Move the back piece through the hole, insert that through there, Okay, on the other side, we're going to put our pieces M and N together. Insert those on the other side. And put our bolts G through the hole, but these aren't lining up right now. Have to turn those and adjust those so the bolts G line up nicely. And then put the bolts G through the holes here on our other piece. We should be able to slide that on through. And then start tightening up all these bolts. Tighten up the bolt on the other side. Just going to tighten up this screw. We could put on the new strike plate and insert our screw H into the big hole and F into the little hole. However, I'm going to use the existing strike plate that's already on this door, and we're all set. Okay, so the old strike plate was removed and I adjusted the position of the new one. So just drill out the new holes. And then insert the new screws. Put in the top screw. I'm going to put in the bottom screw. Looks good. Try out the door here. Opens and shuts nice. And it locks nicely. Throw the deadbolt. Yep, looks good to me.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a comment below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.